President Joe Biden announcing he's suspending his re-election campaign. At 81, he's the oldest serving president in U.S. history. It's a storied ending to months of campaigning and a political career steeped in decades of experience.
We feel compelled to undress in front of the public to show them how good and how pure we are. And, none of us are pure.
Biden entered national politics at age 29. First elected to the U.S. Senate in 1972, he was struck by family tragedy that year when his then wife and one-year-old daughter died in a car crash. Biden took the oath of office from the side of a hospital bed as his two young sons recovered. He went on to represent Delaware for 36 years. As a senator, he's credited with legacy-defining legislation, such as writing the Violence Against Women Act, but also criticized for a pair of controversial tough-on-crime bills that spurred some tougher mandatory minimum sentencing.
We're not going to break now, so there'll be order.
Biden chaired the Judiciary Committee, presiding over contentious hearings for the Supreme Court, including the rejection of Robert Bork and confirmations of Clarence Thomas and Ruth Bader Ginsburg. It was while chairing that committee Biden launched his first presidential bid in 1987. That campaign ended with allegations of plagiarism and low polling, but it was the beginning of what would be a decades-long hunt for the White House. 20 years later, and still serving in the Senate, Biden tried again for the Democratic nomination. It was a campaign that would end as Barack Obama's running mate. From 2009 to 2017, Biden served as vice president under two Obama administrations, notching accomplishments as a shepherd for the Affordable Care Act and averting the 2011 debt ceiling crisis.
But I am clearly not pessimistic.
Biden decided to sit out the 2016 race following the death of his son Beau from brain cancer a year earlier.
Unfortunately, I believe we're out of time, the time necessary to mount a winning campaign for the nomination.
But he did secure the nomination in 2020.
I love you. You brought me to the dance. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Biden centered himself as the candidate to block a potential second term for Donald Trump in what he called was a, quote, battle for the soul of the nation.
If you entrust me with the presidency, I will draw on the best of us, not the worst.
It was Biden's third but first successful bid for the top of the ticket, where he emerged victorious from a crowded primary that at one point saw 20 candidates. He made history with his pick for running mate when Kamala Harris became the first African-American and first South Asian American vice presidential nominee.
I, Joseph Robinette Biden Jr., do solemnly swear.
But Biden inherited a COVID-era presidency, signing what came to be known as the American Rescue Plan into law just 6 weeks after taking office. As his term went on, Biden's White House touted bipartisan wins such as the infrastructure law and the CHIPS and Science Act. He also appointed Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson, the first black woman to ever serve on the U.S. Supreme Court. However, President Biden was plagued by low approval ratings, in part fueled by Americans' concerns about record border crossings and high inflation under his administration. But no issue haunted President Biden more than his age, and ultimately his last debate performance. In Washington, Tyler Kendall, Bloomberg News.